Thanks, Melissa. Hi, everyone. Welcome to SUSECON Digital 2021. Speaking to you from the SUSECON space station, I'm Sheng Liang, SUSE's new President of Engineering and Innovation. Many of you know my predecessor, Dr. Thomas DiGiacomo, or Dr. T as we like to call him. Dr. T has taken the new role as SUSE's CTO and Chief Product Officer. I encourage all of you to listen to his exciting keynote later today on edge computing technologies over at the Edge World. I joined SUSE last year with the acquisition of Rancher Labs, where I was the co-founder and CEO. I'm so excited to be part of SUSE. SUSE and Rancher are a great fit. We offer complementary technologies. We serve many common customers. Both companies consist of die-hard technologists and have great engineering culture. And perhaps most importantly, we both believe in the power of open source. Because of our common culture and common beliefs, the integration of Rancher and SUSE has gone exceedingly well. We have pulled together the deep technical talent from both companies, and we're accelerating our pace of innovation. You trust us with your mission-critical workloads. We will not let you down. The combined global presence of SUSE and Rancher enables us to serve all of our customers even better. As Melissa said, Linux and Kubernetes are foundational pillars for every enterprise's digital transformation strategy. And SUSE is a leader in both Linux and Kubernetes. Over the next 30 minutes, I will talk to you about how SUSE plans to advance Linux and Kubernetes technologies, how we bring together our entire portfolio, and I will share what makes SUSE unique. I would like all of you to go away with some ideas on how SUSE can unleash the power of innovation in your organization. Before we dive into the details of various technologies, let me spend a few minutes to talk about what makes SUSE truly unique in everything we do. We all know SUSE is an open source company, but we do more than just open source. 2 years ago, I was still running Rancher when I attended SUSECON 2019 in Nashville, Tennessee. It was there that I first learned SUSE's slogan called open source. As soon as I heard the phrase, I knew what it was about. This phrase, open source, precisely captured the pain point many customers have told me over the years. Many customers feel trapped in a legacy software stack, not because alternatives don't exist, but because legacy software vendors refuse to certify and support other vendors' software. These legacy vendors have spent years building up a sophisticated dependency chain. It goes like this. I only certify my operating system on my hypervisor, and I only agree to support my management software on my operating system. So as long as the customer still needs even one piece of what I offer, they have to buy the entire software suite from me. This problem has long existed in the proprietary software world. But what many people don't know is that open source vendors also use the power of certification and validation to prevent customers from implementing best-of-breed solutions. We at SUSE believe in a different approach. Our products are not only open source, they're also truly open. We commit to customers that SUSE software will always interoperate with leading products in the industry, even products from our competitors. For example, the Souza Manager product is the only Linux management product in our industry that can manage all Linux distros. Rancher Kubernetes engine, known as RKE, can run on any Linux distro. And SUSE Rancher is the only Kubernetes management product in our industry that can fully manage all Kubernetes distros. Our commitment to open interoperable products is rooted in our belief that customers like you can innovate better when you have the freedom to choose the best-of-breed products for your needs. As a vendor, SUSE needs to meet you where you are. We would, of course, like to supply all SUSE-based technologies to you, But we recognize and acknowledge that many of you live in a heterogeneous environment with multiple clouds, multiple Linux distros, and multiple Kubernetes distros. So we should not and we will not offer an all or nothing value proposition for our customers. Our commitment to open interoperable products is also based on our confidence that we offer unique value in each of our products and that we will continue to innovate to sustain our market leadership at every level of our solution stack. Because we do not force an all or nothing approach on customers, you have the complete freedom to look for superior products and swap out individual SUSE products. This approach keeps us super motivated to continue to impress you with new capabilities, high quality, great performance, and world-class customer service. We know we need to earn your business every day. SUSE powers some of the world's most mission-critical workloads in areas like real-time manufacturing, high-speed trading, and aircraft and space. The top priority of SUSE's engineering team is to support our existing customers. We love demanding customers. The more you demand, the harder we work to produce better products. And that, we believe, is the only way to earn your business for life. As I mentioned, SUSE's commitment to open interoperable products lies in our confidence that we offer strong product differentiation at every level of the technology stack. Today, SUSE has two product families, SUSE Linux Enterprise and SUSE Rancher. So what makes SUSE Linux and SUSE Rancher different? First, let's talk about the SUSE Linux product family. SUSE has a long history of innovation in building Linux distros. Back in the early 1990s, SUSE at our infancy created the world's first commercial Linux distro. And in the early 2000s, SUSE cracked the code of the Linux distro business by creating SLES, the industry's first enterprise Linux distro. SLES propelled the hypergrowth of SUSE, which culminated in the release of SLES 15 in 2018. But our innovation did not stop there. We continue to invest in making SLES the obvious choice for running mission-critical enterprise workloads with features like live patching and user space live patching. Just last year, working with Electrobit, we created the world's first automotive Linux. SUSE Automotive Linux will power self-driving cars of the future. SUSE continues to lead the industry in providing a truly open enterprise Linux product. Unlike other vendors who backed away from their open source commitments, we announced today that the upcoming SLES 15 SP3 release will deliver full binary compatibility between OpenSUSE's Leap and SUSE Linux Enterprise. You can now start with OpenSUSE Leap and then seamlessly upgrade your Leap installations into SLES without a reinstall or reboot. One of my favorite offerings on top of SLES is the result of our partnership with SAP, SLES for SAP. SUSE and SAP teams have been working together for over 20 years. SAP is one of the most important mission-critical enterprise workloads. SUSE is the obvious choice for powering SAP. SAP develops HANA on SUSE. SAP runs their own cloud on SUSE. Wouldn't you want to run SAP on SUSE as well? SUSE has always been the most reliable and highest performance OS for SAP. And more recently, the SLES for SAP team at SUSE has created tons of capabilities that go beyond reliability and performance. They have created a simplified SAP administration and operation experience. My colleagues Markus Noga and Wojciech Pawlik, both VPs of engineering at SUSE, will be giving a keynote speech over at Linux World. Please attend their session to learn more about the latest advances in SLES, SLES for SAP, and other Linux technologies. I cannot finish explaining our Linux product family without also mentioning our latest addition, SLE Micro. SLE Micro is a lightweight Linux OS designed to run on resource-constrained devices like edge computing environments. SLE Micro is not only small, it is immutable and supports transactional updates, making it especially easy to manage at scale. I encourage you to check out SLE Micro. By now, you've probably noticed that SUSE does not just have one Linux distro. SUSE Linux is a family of Linux distros consisting of SLES, SLES for SAP, SLE Micro, SLES for IBM Z, SLE for ARM, SLE Desktop, and many more. The ability to support, validate, certify such a large number of Linux distros is a unique technical capability of SUSE. SUSE Linux is not an ordinary Linux distro. It is an adaptable Linux distro. In fact, SUSE Linux is the most adaptable Linux distro in the industry. SUSE has the unique ability to create specialized distros because we spent decades perfecting our distro-making machinery, internally known as the factory. SUSE has invested decades of effort to craft a powerful set of tools like the Open Build Service. These tools allow us to create certified Linux distros with a manageable amount of effort. We control everything that goes into our distro, and we fully understand the dependencies amongst all the components. That is why when a customer realizes, for example, that they need a different Linux distro for their robots than for their servers, we can create a robotics Linux distro to meet their needs. If you have a need to build a specialized Linux distro and you want that distro to be fully validated, certified, and secure, please talk to us. With so many Linux variations running everywhere, how do you manage them all? That is where SUSE Manager comes in. SUSE Manager is unique in that it not only provisions, installs, updates, and configures SUSE Linux distros, it does all of the above for Ubuntu, CentOS, Oracle Linux, and Red Hat Linux as well. This again is open interoperability at work. Driven by significant demand from customers, the latest release of SUSE Manager pushes the envelope on scalability. Customers deploy SUSE Manager to manage tens of thousands of servers in production today. Again, please attend Marcus and Wojciech's Linux World keynote to learn the latest developments in our adaptable Linux technology. Linux and Kubernetes go hand in hand to form the foundation of the modern IT stack. Linux manages individual computers, and Kubernetes orchestrates application containers across multiple computers. The SUSE Rancher product family consists of 4 products: Rancher Kubernetes Engine, or RKE, K3S, Rancher, and Longhorn. Rancher Kubernetes Engine, or RKE, is SUSE's data center Kubernetes distro. It is the easiest way to stand up and operate Kubernetes clusters in your data center. K3S is SUSE's edge Kubernetes distro. Rancher created K3S and donated it to the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. K3S took the Kubernetes technology, already proven in data center and cloud, and made it work on devices like Raspberry Pis and surveillance cameras. K3S is one of the most exciting projects in the Kubernetes ecosystem today. K3S has become the de facto industry standard for edge computing. Just like Linux, Kubernetes is everywhere. In fact, Kubernetes is going wherever Linux goes. With Kubernetes clusters popping up in the data center, in the cloud, and in edge computing environments, we need Rancher. Rancher manages all of the world's Kubernetes clusters. True to SUSE's commitment to open interoperability, Rancher manages any Kubernetes distro. Rancher manages RKE, K3S, as well as Amazon EKS, Azure AKS, and Google GKE, along with any other certified Kubernetes distros. With Rancher, IT organizations get centralized visibility and control across all Kubernetes clusters, regardless how they're implemented. Rancher is the most widely used Kubernetes management platform. Tens of thousands of organizations use Rancher to manage Kubernetes clusters every day. With Rancher, development teams can deploy containerized applications in the data center, in the cloud, and in edge computing environments, all from a unified platform. Longhorn is the fourth product in SUSE Rancher family. As Kubernetes gains mainstream adoption, organizations don't just run web applications, they also run data processing applications that require persistent state. Longhorn implements software-defined storage for Kubernetes. It builds distributed block storage out of local disks. Rancher created Longhorn technology and donated it to Cloud Native Computing Foundation. Just like K3s, Longhorn is therefore another one of SUSE's contributions to the Kubernetes ecosystem. And you can rely on SUSE to provide the best production support for Longhorn. Will Chan, a co-founder of Rancher, and now VP of Engineering at SUSE, will introduce the Rancher product family in much greater detail at his Kube World keynote. Please attend Will's keynote to learn the latest exciting developments in SUSE Rancher and Kubernetes. SUSE Linux and SUSE Rancher product families together form the foundation of the modern IT stack. Following the open interoperable philosophy, you can run any Kubernetes distros on SUSE Linux, and you can run Rancher Kubernetes on any Linux distro. But it's even better if you adopt both SUSE Linux and SUSE Rancher products. For that reason, we created two solutions. SUSE Hybrid IT is our Linux and Kubernetes solution stack for data center and cloud. SUSE Edge is our Linux and Kubernetes solution stack for the edge. The SUSE Hybrid IT solution consists of SUSE Rancher, RKE, Longhorn, Souza Manager, and SLES. It offers the complete software stack needed to run both traditional applications and cloud-native applications in data center and cloud. As much as I'm excited talking about our products, our customers do an even better job explaining how they benefit from SUSE Linux and SUSE Rancher. ZAMG is the National Meteorological and Geophysical Service of Austria. I recently had an opportunity to sit down with Gunther, CTO of ZAMG. Let's watch. Hi, Gunther. Thanks for taking some time to talk to us. Could you tell us a bit about ZAMG?
Hi, Sheng. It's a pleasure for me to be here. ZAMG is the oldest meteorological institute in the world, founded 1851. So we do data analytics since then. Just kidding, but nevertheless, we have the oldest climate row in the world. So we are one part of the big puzzle of solving climate change worldwide.
That's great. So what specific challenges are you facing these days, and how has SUSE been able to help you?
You know, the biggest challenge at the moment is having so much data. We have about 26 petabytes on data on-prem. We have more than 2 petabytes in the public cloud. And to shift all this workload is very, very important for us. The new digital economy we are in at the moment is very important because we try to insert our services into digital processes. And we do that a lot with containerization, for example, but also with data as a service or digital software, so-called storage, software-defined storage.
Great, that makes sense. And going forward, what is your strategy, your plan to deal with this data challenge?
You know, the more data we get, the higher a resolution we can do. And the higher resolution we can do, for example, urban climate monitoring. We can solve our problems. We can design new architecture of cities, of towns, of valleys. And that's something which is very important for the future. Therefore, we use new technologies. I mentioned already containerization, for example. Why do we do that? We have to shift a lot of workload either in the cloud to the customer, to our cooperation partner, or to our compute center in Vienna.
Makes sense. I hear that you're involved in the Digital Earth project. Could you tell us a bit more about it and how you're able to handle the challenge of modeling the whole Earth in a digital environment?
Yeah, for sure. The idea is to do a digital twin of the Earth, to understand the environment, the climate, and nature better. The most important thing there is having enough data to model all the simulations and to model all the models, the grids, and so on. The idea on this is to do a federated thing. Then, because it's the only way we can model such a big project is doing it together.
Great. I mean, if you can maybe tell me a bit more about how you're able to work with SUSE, how Linux and Kubernetes, those technologies come in play in your whole technology stack.
I think the most important thing is that open source is so important for us because we do a lot of collaboration. So we collaborate with universities, with companies, with the public, and open source is one of the key factors. We decided to use SUSE because SUSE is a very, very important and collaborative partner in this case. The next big thing is containerization. It's quite clear to use Ranger because we use SUSE as well. And these two parts work perfectly together.
Thank you, Gunther, for being such a great partner in our innovation journey, in our own innovation journey. Hopefully, we're going to be able to continue to work with you as you drive your innovation forward. And for everyone in the attendance, there is a breakout session for ZAMG, and I encourage all of you to attend to learn more details about how ZAMG is able to leverage the latest and greatest open source Linux and Kubernetes technologies. Thank you, Gunther.
Thank you so much, and let's make all together a better weather. Thanks.
Isn't that great? Customers like ZAMG are adopting SLES and Rancher technologies to accelerate their pace of innovation. We talked about SUSE hybrid IT solutions. Now let's talk about the SUSE Edge solution. The SUSE Edge solution consists of SUSE Rancher, K3S, Longhorn, SUSE Manager, and Sleep Micro. SUSE Edge solution offers the complete software stack needed to deploy applications on a very large number of Linux nodes and Kubernetes clusters. Many of us think of edge computing as happening in branch offices, IoT gateways, retail stores, cell towers, and even ships, cars, and planes. Our customer, Hypergiant, is going one step further. They run K3S on satellites. I recently talked to Brand Briggs from Hypergiant. Let's listen. Thanks for taking time to talk to me. And Hypergiant works in the space and defense industry. Tell us a bit more about Hypergiant and your mission.
Sure. So, a couple of years ago when Ben Lamb founded the company, he had this idea of using his interest in connections in the AI and machine learning world to build the future that we were promised. And you'll hear us joke about that a lot, or if you go to our website or social media or something, you'll see tomorrowing today. I like to think of it as building the future that you would recognize from Star Trek or the Jetsons or just some far future TV show where just everything's automated and machine intelligence is everywhere and it's in the background because it's so common. It's not front and center. So that's the kind of thing that we're building that we love to do and that we work really hard on. And so I get to work on the coolest stuff that I've ever worked on, like putting Kubernetes on satellites in space. Being able last year to see something that I worked on, ISS astronauts actually handling it and helping us repair some wire damage that was on it. That's been the coolest thing for me working here at Hypergiant. And it's just really fun.
That sounds so cool, Brad. So why is it so important to put some computing power on satellites these days?
So satellites are operating in a really harsh environment where it's low power, and the power they get to restore them is based entirely on solar panels or something like that. There's obviously, the radiation and operating temperatures and other stuff like that it makes for a very challenging compute environment for the hardware. And consequently, the operating systems are designed to take advantage of that. We are getting to a point where we're able to launch commodity hardware into space and it tolerate these sorts of things. And so it's becoming easier and cheaper to do a lot more computational ability. Now that we have the hardware and the capability, our missions are also getting more complex as we evolve as a society, and more needs come up. And so I think one of the easiest missions to think about, like how complex can this possibly get, would be like an optical mission, where you're imaging the Earth in multiple spectra, and you really need to figure out in a time-sensitive way, like for instance, weather data or something like that. And you don't really have time to take all these really high quality, high res images and send them back down to an analyst, wait for this person to make a decision, and then, propagate that. You want to identify things that are the most important on board this satellite and either make decisions there or prioritize what gets sent back down, and even add some additional, data enhancement to it on site, classification and tagging and stuff. And so it's super important for, even the most simple of missions to have additional ability to do more advanced computing. And typically that also involves GPUs, which are notoriously power hungry. And so, we're looking at how to do this and how to, for instance, update the mission mid-cycle. And so that's why we're putting K3S on these satellites themselves. And so, this hopefully enhances the work that analysts or other folks are doing, and it's building infrastructure in space and building patterns in space for more complex missions.
Oh, that makes so much sense, Brad. And I think the need to process all that data, optical sensory data locally, that captures the essence of edge computing, in my opinion. And my next question is then, how did you guys decide to go with Kubernetes and specifically K3S? And in that process, how was SUSE RGS team able to help you to achieve your goals?
So we were actually both working under the same government project at the time, but on different specific tasks. And so we were aware of the RGS team and what they could do. But for this particular mission at the time, we were not using Kubernetes. We were not really tasked with using Kubernetes. We were tasked with figuring out a way to update this software on board a satellite using DevSecOps best practices. And so I actually didn't want to use Kubernetes at all because I was really worried about the resiliency. And so we looked to something that was tried and true in the telco space, which, they operate at 5 nines or better. They have a really high need for availability. And so we looked at Erlang, and I was really attracted to the model that Erlang had of hot patching, so the software never truly had to go down, and the process model letting processes crash and things like that. So that's kind of what we lobbied for at first, and we lined Kubernetes up against it, and we actually were able to design an architecture using K3S, and this with the RGS team helping us using K3S, we designed a setup that was actually resilient enough to do what we needed it to do. And so we decided that the additional flexibility that Kubernetes provided over top of Erlang, and the fact that had we used Erlang, we would have probably modified the way we were building and deploying to something that would eventually have looked a lot like Kubernetes anyway. So we decided to run Kubernetes in K3S. And we chose K3S specifically because it is optimized for low-power devices. It is a very small binary. All of the tools have really great opinions. They come pre-configured, and so you launch one binary, you have your Kubernetes control plane, you can join agents to it, and it's hard. It's actually hard to mess up when launching a K3S cluster. So that's what we opted for, and so I think that worked really well for us in the lab, and it's going to work really well for us in space.
Thank you, Brand. That's so cool. Being able to remotely upgrade software on satellite and extend the useful lifetime of a satellite. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, sharing the mission of the company, and sharing with us how you're taking advantage of K3S and working with SUSE IGS team. For everyone in the audience, if you're interested in learning more, please attend Brand and our own Chris Nuber's session over at the Edge World about a lot more details about what they're doing at Hypergiant. Thank you. Space is indeed the final frontier. Linux and K3S run on satellites. There's no limit how much further we can go together, powered by SUSE technologies. For more stories like Hypergiant, you won't want to miss the Edge World keynote by Dr. Thomas DiGiacomo and Keith Basil. They will be sharing the latest advances in SUSE Edge computing technologies. Solutions like SUSE Hybrid IT and SUSE Edge offer many advantages over deploying standalone Linux and Kubernetes. You not only get discounted bundle pricing, you also enjoy an integrated and easy-to-manage experience. Last but not the least, continuing the open interoperable theme, our solutions for Hybrid IT and Edge still allow you to plug in products from other vendors and create a multi-vendor technology stack. As much as we want to offer complete solutions, we take pride in our openness. We win you over by delivering the best technology. We will never create artificial barriers to lock you in. Innovation is at the heart of everything we do, and I'm so excited about all the innovative projects happening across our engineering team. The combined resources of SUSE and Rancher, coupled with our shared passion, have greatly accelerated our speed of innovation. During this SUSECON and in the coming month, you will see a great number of open source projects being launched at SUSE. Many of these projects enrich existing products like SUSE Linux and SUSE Rancher. They bring in much needed features in security, manageability, and ease of use. Some of these projects are even more ambitious. Today, SUSE leads the industry in 2 layers of the infrastructure technology stack, Linux and Kubernetes. In the future, there could be more. One project I'm particularly excited about is called Harvester. Harvester is open source hyperconverged infrastructure, or HCI. Today, HCI is the de facto standard for private cloud because it delivers virtualization, storage, and networking in one easy-to-consume package. HCI has been tremendously successful. However, there's no open source HCI product today. We believe HCI is ripe for disruption by open source. That's why we created the Harvester project. Harvester is HCI 2.0. It leverages cutting-edge Kubernetes, Longhorn, and Rancher technologies to build a software appliance for both virtual machines and containers. Harvester is not yet a SUSE product, but it could become a new product from SUSE beyond Linux and Kubernetes. We'd love to work with you as we build this product. Again, Harvester is an open source technology, so everything is done in the open. If you're interested in learning more, please attend the Harvester demo at this conference. Then download Harvester and help us make it better. Harvester is just one of many open source innovation efforts at SUSE. Open source is such a great innovation model. Many vendors develop products behind closed doors, then ship them to customer and pray that they built them right. Well, vendors often build the products wrong. In many cases, vendor built the products nobody wanted. That's why our industry is littered with shelfware, products and features paid for by customers but deliver no benefit. At SUSE, we follow a different model. We develop innovative products like Harvester, first as open source projects. We gather feedback from open source users, and we only productize a product after there's proven demand from open source users. It allows us to apply our best engineering resources on the most relevant products and features. Open source is such a superior innovation model. Frankly, I don't understand why every software company is not an open source company. At SUSE, we're super excited about the opportunities ahead of us. The entire infrastructure space is ripe for open source disruption. Today, we help you with Linux and Kubernetes, which form the core of infrastructure software. And as SUSE realizes our vision to deliver a complete open source infrastructure stack, we will help you innovate even faster. We're more committed than ever to open source, or what we call open interoperability. We will earn your business by strengthening our technology leadership in Linux and Kubernetes. We will push forward relentlessly with the open source innovation model to bring you a steady stream of innovative products and features. I encourage you to attend the technical deep dive talks and demos to learn more. Download the open source software you like. Join the SUSE Rancher open source community. Sign up for a Udacity course by SUSE and earn a nano degree in cloud-native technologies. Together, we will create new innovations that push the market forward. We have a great program for you, including a real treat. Captain Scott Kelly will be joining us on board SUSECON space station. Captain Kelly is one of the greatest heroes in space exploration. I followed his accomplishments over the years. I thoroughly enjoyed reading his inspiring memoir titled Endurance, My Year in Space and Our Journey to Mars. His epic year in space now carries a special significance in the era of remote collaboration. I can't wait to hear from Captain Kelly at this SUSECON. I encourage all of you to join Scott's session. We have an incredible program for you filled with great insights from SUSE, our customers, and from our special guests. I encourage all of you to join as many sessions as you can and take full advantage of all the great content we have to share. Enjoy the show.